Welcome to Rainbow Spotlight. Here, we honor the lives and legacies of LGBT+ athletes who have made an impact in the world of sports. Today, we bring you a tragic and shocking story, the death of Jana Puhakka, a former professional hockey player and one of the few openly gay athletes in his sport. Jana's life was a testament to courage, breaking barriers in hockey and advocating for LGBT+ inclusion. However, his journey was tragically cut short when he was found shot dead in his home in Finland, with his longtime partner Rolf Nordmo arrested as the primary suspect. This heartbreaking event has left the sports world in mourning, raising important conversations about representation, safety, and mental health within the LGBT+ community. In today's video, we will explore Jana Puhakka's groundbreaking career, his personal struggles, his activism, and the events leading up to this devastating loss. If you want to continue supporting LGBT+ voices in sports, make sure to subscribe and help us honor those who have paved the way for change. Now, let's dive into the life and legacy of Jana Puhakka. Number 1. Introduction: a tragic loss. The world of hockey was shaken by devastating news on Sunday, January 14, 2024, when former professional player Jana Puhakka was found dead in his home in Vantaa, Finland. He was just 29 years old. According to reports from Finnish media, Puhakka's longtime partner, Rolf Nordmo, a 66-year-old veterinarian from Norway, was arrested at the scene and is the prime suspect in what authorities believe to be a murder case. Puhakka, one of the few male professional hockey players to have publicly come out as gay, had been a beloved figure in Finnish sports and beyond. His courage in embracing his identity made him a trailblazer in the hockey world, where LGBT+ representation has historically been scarce. The tragic circumstances surrounding his untimely death have left fans, former teammates, and the LGBT+ community in shock. Mourners gathered outside his home, leaving candles and flowers to honor his memory. Even former Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin was among those who paid tribute to him on social media, recognizing his impact beyond just sports. Puhakka's death is not only a loss to the hockey community, but also a painful reminder of the challenges that LGBT+ athletes continue to face. As investigations continue, questions remain. What led to this heartbreaking event? What was the reality of Puhakka's personal life behind the public image? To truly understand the weight of this tragedy, we must first look at his career, his struggles, and his incredible journey as a hockey player and activist. Number 2. The hockey career of Jana Puhakka. A rising star in Finnish and international hockey born in Finland in 1994, Jana Puhakka showed promise as a hockey player from an early age. He rose through the ranks of Finnish youth hockey, earning a reputation as a talented forward with strong technical skills. His ability to maneuver the puck, combined with his speed and agility, made him stand out among his peers. As he advanced in his career, Puhakka competed professionally in 3 different countries: Finland, playing in the top-tier Liga, Finland's premier professional hockey league; Canada, developing his skills in the Canadian junior leagues, where hockey culture is deeply ingrained; France, continuing his career in European leagues before officially retiring in 2018. During his peak years, Puhakka was known not just for his performance on the ice, but also for his leadership and dedication. However, behind the success, he carried a heavy secret that weighed on him throughout his career: struggling with identity in a hyper-masculine sport. From the age of 16, Puhakka knew he was gay. But in the hyper-masculine world of hockey, where locker room culture often reinforced heteronormative ideals and homophobia, coming out seemed impossible. Although Puhakka had confided in his team captain and a few close teammates, he kept his personal life hidden for most of his career. He feared that if his sexuality became public knowledge, it could affect his opportunities, team dynamics, and endorsements. In a 2019 interview with Helsingin Sanomat, he admitted that living in secrecy took a psychological toll on him and his relationships. "I mostly kept my boyfriend a secret, avoided questions about my love life, and worried that my teammates might one day run into us together in the city." Over time, the secrecy started to negatively affect my partner. The pressure to conform in a sports culture that often excludes LGBT+ athletes was exhausting. Puhaka described constantly monitoring his behavior, making sure he didn't say or do anything that might reveal his true identity. In many ways, hockey was both his passion and his prison. Retirement and the decision to come out. By 2018, Puhaka decided to retire from professional hockey. He later revealed that one of the biggest reasons for this decision was the mental strain of hiding his sexuality for so many years. In 2019, he publicly came out as gay, making him one of the very few professional male hockey players to do so. His bravery was met with an outpouring of support, both from fellow athletes and fans who saw him as an inspiration. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I realized that the fear of coming out had been much worse than the reality. After coming out, Puhaka dedicated himself to LGBT+ advocacy in sports. He became a vocal supporter of inclusion efforts, working with organizations that promoted diversity in hockey. He also began sharing more about his personal life, including his long-term relationship with Nordo, a man 37 years older than him. At first, their relationship seemed like a story of love that defied stereotypes. But as we now know, it would tragically end in devastating circumstances. 3. Coming out and the fight for LGBT+. Inclusion in hockey. For much of his career, Jan Puhaka lived in silence, carrying the weight of a secret that threatened to consume him. Hockey had always been his passion, his purpose, but it had also been a prison, locking him inside a world where masculinity was rigid and any sign of difference could make him an outsider. From the moment he realized he was gay at 16, Puhaka knew that the world he loved might never fully embrace him. He heard the jokes in the locker room, the casual, homophobic remarks that were tossed around without a second thought. He knew that if he revealed the truth about himself, he risked being treated differently, losing the bond that teammates share, and perhaps even his place in the sport. So he hid. For years, he played the role expected of him, avoiding conversations about dating, dodging questions from teammates, and keeping his boyfriend a secret. In cities where he played, he would walk the streets in fear, constantly scanning his surroundings, terrified that a teammate might spot him holding hands with the man he loved. The strain of this secrecy began to break him. It wasn't just emotional, it was physical. The stress invaded his body, the exhaustion of pretending weighed on his spirit. His relationship suffered, his happiness diminished. By 2018, Puhaka could no longer continue. He retired from professional hockey at just 24 years old, walking away from the game he had given his life to. Not because he lost his love for the sport, but because hockey had no space for someone like him. But he wasn't done fighting. 1 year later, in 2019, Puhaka made a decision that changed everything. He came out publicly as gay, breaking one of the strongest taboos in men's professional hockey. His announcement, made through a powerful interview with Helsingin Sanomat, sent shockwaves through the sports world. For the first time, he spoke about his struggles, about the suffocating fear that kept him from being honest with the people around him. I always thought that coming out would ruin my career, but the truth is, hiding who I was ruined me first. To his surprise and relief, Puhaka was met with an overwhelming wave of support. Fans, former teammates, and other athletes rallied behind him, praising his courage and acknowledging the deep-rooted homophobia that still plagued sports. Instead of walking away from hockey completely, he channeled his pain into purpose. He became an activist for LGBT+ inclusion in sports. He joined campaigns to create safer spaces for queer athletes. He stood up for the next generation so no one would have to suffer in silence like he did. His story gave hope to young hockey players struggling with their identities, proving that they were not alone. Puhaka's bravery should have been the beginning of a new, joyful chapter in his life. Instead, tragedy would strike in the most unimaginable way. Number 4. Jana Puhaka and Rolf Nordmo, a love story that defied expectations. When Jana Puhaka met Rolf Nordmo, it was not the love story most people expected. Rolf was a Norwegian veterinarian, nearly 37 years older than Puhaka. They first connected online in 2014, when Puhaka was playing junior hockey in Quebec. At the time, their relationship was a long-distance connection, built on deep conversations, shared dreams, and an understanding that age didn't define love. For years, they kept their romance quiet, partly because Puhaka wasn't ready to come out publicly, and partly because their age gap made them a target for judgment. But their love was real, and as time passed, their bond grew stronger. By 2021, Puhaka was no longer afraid to be seen. He posted their first photo together on Instagram during Christmas, a simple but powerful gesture that signaled their love was no longer a secret. By 2022, Puhaka spoke openly about their relationship in his memoir, Ulos Kopista, Out from the Bench, where he described how Nordmo had been his anchor through the darkest periods of his life. When the world felt too heavy, he reminded me that I was enough, that I was loved. For Puhaka, Rolf wasn't just a partner, he was his safe place. The couple even gave interviews to major publications like the New York Post and the Daily Mirror, discussing their age gap relationship and the challenges of being openly gay in hockey. They attended Helsinki Pride together, marching hand in hand, proving that love knows no boundaries. Everything seemed perfect. From the outside, they appeared to be a happy couple who had found peace after years of struggle. But behind closed doors, something changed. On January 14, 2024, Jana Puhaka was found shot dead in their home. Nordmo, the man who had once been his greatest support, was arrested as the prime suspect in his murder. The love story that had once been a beacon of hope ended in unimaginable tragedy. What happened in the final moments of Puhaka's life? Was there hidden turmoil in their relationship that no one saw? How did a romance built on trust and resilience turn into a nightmare? The world may never know the full truth. But one thing is certain, Jana Puhaka's legacy is bigger than his tragic ending. He was a fighter, he was a trailblazer, and his story deserves to be remembered for the light he brought, not just the way he was taken away. Number 5. Tributes and mourning. The world reacts. As the news of Puhaka's death spread, tributes poured in from friends, teammates, and fans. The world had lost not just an athlete, but a symbol of resilience, courage, and change. One of the most heartbreaking tributes came from writer Risto Pakarinen, who had worked closely with Puhaka on his autobiography, Ulos Kopista, Out from the Bench. I got to know Jana in connection with the book project, and it quickly became clear that he was a brave young man. He wanted to give hope to other minorities in hockey and sports. He wanted to be an example and someone they could talk to. It is devastating that his journey ended this way. Many of his former teammates also expressed their grief, with one calling him the strongest and kindest person I've ever known. Another wrote, "Jana, you showed us all what it means to be fearless. Rest in peace, my friend." The impact of Puhaka's life reached far beyond sports. His death was not just a tragedy for hockey, it was a loss for the entire LGBT+ community. His courage inspired countless young athletes struggling with their identities. His activism helped break barriers in one of the toughest, most masculine sports in the world. His story proved that being true to yourself is a fight worth taking on. The world had lost a champion, but his legacy would live on. Number 6. Conclusion. A life gone too soon, but never forgotten. Jana Puhaka should have been celebrating his legacy, mentoring young hockey players, and continuing his fight for inclusion and equality in sports. Instead, his life was cut short in the most heartbreaking way possible. But despite the tragic end, his story is not just about loss. It is about hope. Hope that sports will continue evolving into a safer, more inclusive space for LGBT+ athletes. Hope that conversations about mental health, relationships, and visibility will grow stronger. Hope that his life, though short, will inspire lasting change. Puhaka may no longer be here, but his impact cannot be erased. Every young hockey player who dares to come out, every LGBT+ athlete who refuses to hide, and every conversation about diversity in sports owes something to his courage. We will remember Yana Puhaka not just for how he died, but for how he lived, fearlessly, authentically, and with the unwavering belief that change is possible. Rest in power, Yana. Your fight was not in vain. If you believe in honoring Yana Puhaka's legacy and continuing the fight for LGBT+ inclusion in sports, make sure to subscribe to Rainbow Spotlight. We will keep telling these stories because they deserve to be heard. Rainbow,